What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Nathan, and on this planet we send it. And what we're going to be getting in today, well, we're going to be getting into a 4-part series of the Rubicon Trail. Man, the Rubicon Trail is just beyond epic, and I gotta say that it is a trail not to take lightly, which is why I chose to do some of these preparations, show you some of these preparations that we did prior to getting up to the trail, and then when we got up there, talk about some of the admin items. So if you've never done the Rubicon Trail, and I hadn't until recently, then I hope that this helps you. And I got to be upfront. I'm pretty new to Jeeping. I've had my Jeep for less than 2 years, and really cumulatively I've probably only really been Jeeping for about a year of it, since during the desert, the summertime, going out here to the desert kind of sat for a while. But I hope that you find a lot of these things benefit. So the plan for this video is I'm going to show you all the preparations that I did trying to get my rig ready to go to the Rubicon. Maybe it might inspire you. But then after that, we're also going to talk about day 0. Basically the things that we were doing when we got up there before the day we actually headed out. All right, I got a plan in place. Let's go ahead and send it. So to begin with preparations, some of you may recall this video. If not, I'll go ahead and put a link in the upper right, but pay attention to the steering sound.
Okay, driver. You need hydro next, man.
Well, I didn't get hydro assist, but let's go ahead and go over the things that I did get. Prior to Alex telling me that, I had already owned the PSC big bore box, but let's go ahead and cover some of the additional things that I purchased for the Rubicon. All right, so what we've been doing recently is getting this bracket that I got from Synergy. This is now a discontinued bracket, actually, from PSC. And so what we've been doing, we're able to get all 7 holes to line up, and we just had to drill a hole here to get this lined up. But this extra cooler that was already on the radiator in the first place is an additional transmission cooler, so we're probably going to cut the hoses potentially here just to make sure everything is pretty tight and short and sweet. And then this other side we're going to plumb up for the power steering fluid. After we got the radiator installed for both the transmission and the power steering system, we went ahead and installed the PSC power steering pump. And then after the power steering pump, we went ahead and installed the following items here. This is actually my cousin installing the reservoir here. So I will say that I was pretty fortunate. We were able to get the PSC reservoir, and we were also able to get my compressor in there. So I was pretty happy to see that. I'll be doing a lessons learned video on the PSC system for the LJs, but that'll come after the Rubicon series. So I actually did not install the steering box there, but I did go out on this trip to the Grand Canyon with my wife to sort of test drive and see how the pump and the cooler was doing, and at least all the power steering wind it was eliminated by that point. So that was a good sign. If you haven't seen this video, I'll go ahead and put a link in the upper right, but we'll go ahead and move on to the next preparations. Once I got back from the Grand Canyon, I decided to go ahead and install the steering box. So I had it installed, and I was pretty happy. I will have some, like I said, there are definitely some lessons learned in installing that. But after I had the steering box installed, went ahead and installed the Metal Cloak steering box skid plate. I actually went to the Metal Cloak website and tried to basically pick up just about every skid plate I could see, to include this oil pan skid plate too. So after installing both of these, I thought I was good to go, and we moved on to our next set of preparations. And I definitely want to thank Arnie, who let us use his shop, Andy Auto Works here in Claremont, to put our rigs up onto the lift, go ahead and torque things down, push and pull on things to identify anything that needed to be changed prior to the Rubicon about 2 weeks out. So we arrived the day before, where I was staying here at the American River Inn here in Georgetown, California, and we decided to come up here where most of them are bread and breakfasts, to be honest. You can see here this has sort of like my room had an early 1900s sort of decor, and I'll even say that some of these rooms didn't have their own bathrooms, but fortunately mine did. So when you come up here, if you want to do something similar, definitely pay attention to that. I'll even say that the customer service was really good here. So if you happen to arrive early, go ahead and just give them a call and see if they'll let you in. But we came up here to take care of a few admin items and some sightseeing that wasn't necessarily directly related to the Rubicon Trail. So one of the things that I think I'm going to do here is, I don't think that's highlighted very well, at least in some of the other videos that I have, is the beauty that is actually out here on this trail. So I'm going to go ahead and kick off some music, and we'll go ahead and do a quick montage of some of the scenery on the way up to the Rubicon Trailhead. We decided to go ahead and come up to the Rubicon Trail sign to get our pictures in broad daylight, because the plan for us was we were going to be getting on the road at 5 the next morning. So when we got here, the only thing that we really wanted to have to do was air down, disconnect, and then get on the trail. So this was one of the major admin items we wanted to get done. Also, prior to getting to the sign here, we also checked in with the Jeep badge of honor system, so we could go ahead and register prior to getting here. Joe and Kim here were the only ones that actually had done the trail. Everyone else here was doing it for the very first time. Hey, what's going on, everybody? So it is day 0. We actually came out to the Rubicon Trail, to the trailhead, to do some admin items, to go ahead and basically take pictures. We also stopped by Uncle Tom's cabin. I'm going to go ahead and insert a few clips here and tell you a little bit about it. So a place that we decided to stop at before going up to take the pictures that you just saw was a place called Uncle Tom's Cabin. And this was a cabin that, if you want to sort of share in the history of California, it's worth stopping in and at least having a drink. And they have anything from bottled or canned beer, and they'll even make you hot chocolate or something too, because I'm kind of kicking myself in the butt for not doing a little bit more documentation and recording of the history that they actually had on site, some of the different signs and things, because as I got home, I was expecting to be able to, pull up a couple of websites and get a lot of the history, but really there isn't that much. So the short amount of history that I have on this location is, back in the 1860s, a black man started this Uncle Tom's Cabin, and apparently he was, I'm not sure if he was selling items, if he was sort of like a bartender, but this location, the original Uncle Tom's Cabin, was a place where miners, prospectors, loggers, etc. would come and hang out for a little bit. So this Uncle Tom's Cabin was a gathering point for people out here on the Rubicon. This is actually located probably about, I think, 29 miles from Georgetown, where we were staying at our bed and breakfasts. But this was definitely a place completely off the grid, no reception. As you can see here, I highly recommend, if you want to leave your mark, bring a dollar bill that you can hopefully try to find a place to put up there. But it is absolutely worth coming to if you want to just get like I mentioned, a little bit of California history prior to going out on the Rubicon Trail. It's definitely a location now that is welcoming all the off-roaders, primarily going to the Rubicon Trail. But if you want to kind of share in the history of the gold mining and the gold rush of the 1849s, this is something to stop in at. And also, one of the cool things that I'll say about coming out to the Rubicon is, besides it just being the gauntlet of gauntlets as far as for any Jeep trail, combining overlanding and rock crawling, which is just going to be unbelievably awesome. I mean, obviously so many people have done it. This is my first time, and I'm nervous, I'm excited, I'm a little scared, and I'm praying that nothing breaks. I mean, just because you hear of all the horror stories. But in addition to, you know, just it's extremely scenic area out here. I mean, it is just one beautiful location. I mean, people, there's cabins and people out here that just live in this. You're going by all these just either natural lakes or, you know, reservoirs, some creeks to, you know, pretty good sized rivers. Well, not good size like huge, but pretty decent size.
About 3 minutes, my phone's copy.
It looks like we're going to be stopping.
I don't know when to stop though. Let me get to a wider part of the road and we'll stop.
But this area is just stunning. It is radiant. It's just, if you like going out into the forest to where there's no reception, even if you don't want to do the Rubicon, there's some camping sites along the way, along some of these rivers and lakes and stuff, that you could just come out and literally get away from any cell service and just relax in the nice silence. Although I will say it's you know, I guess the group that I'm coming with tried to come out here the previous 2 years, and it was fire season. So unfortunately here in California, if you're going to come out here, definitely pay attention to what the rangers are saying and if there's any fires going off. But it is definitely a highly recommended place, if any of those things interest you, to come out and go ahead and try. All right, so next thing tomorrow morning, we're going to be getting up bright and early, about 4:30, on the road at about 5, and hitting the trailhead probably around 6-ish or so. So I'll see you guys then.